Today we will be exploring mathematical algebraic functions. We're going to model them using algebraic notation and graphical representations, and we're going to do this on the iPad. We are also going to take a field trip down to the cafeteria and show an example of functions in everyday life.
So to begin, you start with a given input and an output, and you were starting with the input and you were going to the output. So in your function, your input are your x values, and your x values are going to map to individual y values. And then for a function to be a function, each one x must map to a separate y. So we can't have one x, for example, matched to two different y's. Exactly.
A vending machine is a real-life example of a one-to-one function. For each input, there's only one output. This is the input of the vending machine. This is the output of the vending machine. For each number, you can only get one drink. You can't get a grape soda and a lemonade with only one input.
Here we can see Sarah is inputting a value into the vending machine, and she is only receiving one output.
Let's start to look at functions graphically. This portion is where our input values go, and then this portion is where our output values go. Now let's plot some points. Our input values are on the x-axis, and our output values are on the y-axis. After we plot our points, we'll begin to connect the dots to create our graph. Let's look at some examples of functions. This parabola is an example of a function because each input has one output. This linear function is also a function, and even this curved scribble is a function. Look at this vertical line on top of the graph. There must be one output for each input in order to be a function, but this graph has two outputs for one particular input. Therefore, this graph is an example of not a function. You can use this vertical line test to determine if any graph is a function.
And this concludes today's lesson on algebraic functions and their representations. To recap, we began this lesson talking about how a unique input maps to a unique output. We cannot have one input mapping to two outputs. Then we gave a real-life example of this concept using a vending machine in the cafeteria. We had Sarah input a specific input to get her lemonade, and she was able to show us that the specific input cannot output both lemonade and grape soda. Then we panned into a video showing what this looks like mathematically. Sarah gave an algebraic function and showed how that looked like graphically, and then gave a little explanation.